Here's John. All right, we're back again. Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. You guys know what's going on right now, the coronavirus, so let's get right to it. Okay, the latest news is Fauci is testifying to Congress about what is happening with the coronavirus regarding opening up the economies, the pitfalls, the shortcomings, and Dr. Fauci is still being highly cautious about what he wants to do to open up the economy, because obviously behind the scenes he's part of the deep state, the global one world order that wants to fetter, keep people incarcerated, take away their freedoms, ultimately hand out vaccines. The great gift from the pharmaceuticals are vaccines. They love vaccines. They love meds. And I have nothing against either one of them, but when you start handing them out like candies and Twinkies, and there's a lot of motivation and rewards for prescribing these medicinal remedies and procedures, and I have a big problem with them. So Fauci and Rand Paul went at it today. I don't have the audio for it, but you could obviously tap into that when I get my studio set up better to be able to inform you with faster and more salable information that's easier for you YouTubers out there. Then I will do that as soon as my capabilities increase. So for now, it was Fauci, Rand Paul. Rand Paul discussed numbers in Sweden regarding them having no shutdown regarding reopening schools. Fauci's talking about possibly reopening schools in September. I have kids. I've been begging my administrators to open school. I begged them not even to close school because I think my daughter might have been having a heavy cough in January. Whoop-de-doo. There's no data that anywhere in the world more than 0.00001% of child fatalities from this. Zero, basically zero. I would question any child that's died from COVID alone, not a comorbidity. I'm talking solo, strictly fatality from COVID. I don't think anywhere in the world. If somebody's got true facts, bring it on. Number one. Number two, regarding morbidity, fatalities, over 40% of all fatalities have been in nursing homes. Nursing homes. Now we're not even talking about 50% of the fatalities, the morbidities were in with old people. Now we're talking about old people in a confined space. Okay, number one. Number two, over half the fatalities are people over 80 years old. The average lifespan is like 78 years old, 76 worldwide, maybe less. These people have already lived beyond the average person. And this is who it's affecting. And of course, I could throw out the cliche, all lives matter. Of course they matter. But let's thank the good Lord that these aren't killing children, because they have a whole life ahead of them. I mean, obviously the value of life for a child is far superior than to me or to anybody that's over 55, 65, 75 years old. So the irony to that is that most of the left that is running from this virus, I mean, they are in their closets, they're tucked between the mattresses, like kind of a ham and Swiss cheese croissant. I mean, they're literally peeking out and hiding from this. Tough, Where's Nancy? Nancy Pelosi. Where is she at? She's afraid to go back to the White House. I mean, to the Capitol building to discuss things on the floor. She's hiding out at her ranch in Sonoma, California. Big wine country. She won't even go to the slums of San Francisco, where the bacteria is boiling on the curb of her, fancy $5 million French chateau in San Francisco, Pacific Heights, or wherever she lives. So it's kind of ironic that these same people that value life, they love abortions. Big irony there. And I'll sidetrack from the Fauci Rand Paul a minute, because it does regard children, and children need to have their schooling, have the opportunity to go to school to learn, so they don't get conned by the government, and they're able to expand their knowledge, so they're able to be independent thinkers. They're able to live a life with their own fruits, that they don't need handouts, that they're not a bunch of flunkies. So, back to snuffing out kids. New York, Cuomo sends in a lot of coronavirus patients, carriers, to nursing homes, convalescent homes, caretaker homes. So you wonder why there's a high fatality rate in nursing homes. Well, Cuomo, he must have that up to 70-80% himself. That's probably why the percentage is fairly high, because he's kicked it up so high himself. And the irony is that in January 2019, somewhere around the 23rd, I'll get you the exact date, Cuomo had an ear-to-ear grin, signing the abortion bill to allow children to be snuffed out all the way to birth. Now, if anybody wants to say, some of my liberal friends said this, the guy got kicked in the head when he was little by a horse, so he's got a dent up there. He signed a bill, ear-to-ear grin, photo ops. You can look this up on Google, and Google probably hates to even have this on there. I suggest people go to Bing. If you want the truth, go to Bing. If you want to buy something from Amazon, go to Google. Back to Cuomo. Cuomo lights the bridge, named after his father, in pink. He lights the top of the Empire State Building pink. He lights the one tower, top of it, in pink. The pinnacle. Then the photo op with nice women behind him, and gentlemen, suits. Yep. The women's dresses were in pink and their scarves were in pink. And they were all applauding, and they had a happy ear-to-ear grin. That was a year ago from last January, which is kind of when the coronavirus has started picking up a little bit of steam. Remember, it came into Washington at the end of January. Freaked people out, got in an older home there. That's what started freaking us out. That and all these numbers coming out of Italy. And we didn't really have facts. We didn't have any data. So what we were doing we were violating what Mr. Sherlock Holmes said about, without data, it's a capital mistake to theorize before one has the data. Because then, insensibly, one begins to twist the facts to fit the theory, when really the theory should suit the facts. But we lack data, so we tried to theorize. It was all bunk. These models, I think these models were like those little models that you'd buy that were made in Japan in the 60s. Well, these were the Chinese of the 21st century models. That's probably where they got them. They probably bought the models, uploaded them onto their website out of their universities. This guy out of England, what was his name? Ferguson. They're all bunk. Fauci's models are all bunk. They're all bunk. This never ever has affected children, which is why it's a flu. It's not a true pandemic, because true pandemics kill people of all ages. Flus focus on elderly people, and that's exactly what this has done. Okay, so Cuomo, Mr. Cuomo, Gentleman Cuomo, decided he had an ear to ear grin to snuff out kids, but guess what? Yep. He's in that same mattress like a ham and cheese croissant. He was crying to Trump, please give us the ventilators, we need help. Our hospitals are gonna shut down, we need help. Trump sends the military ship there to the hospital. Turns out Cuomo doesn't even need it. Turns out Cuomo's gonna start sending the ventilators because he has an abundance above and beyond that are necessary. He ends up not even using them. The hospitals are empty. Hospitals are having to lay people off because there's no work, there's no business, because all the businesses are shut down. When he was snuffing people out by putting coronavirus patients into homes, elderly homes. So he goes from one extreme, signing a bill to snuff out kids at birth, to snuffing out older people. Snuffing the kids out at birth, back to my neighbors, the guy thinks that it's not life when the baby's in the mother's belly, kicking, thrusting like a baseball bat. Any of you had children know that babies can do that. So basically at 8 months and 2 weeks, it's not a baby. Now, we all know that babies are able to be birthed at 20 weeks. That's 5 months. But at 8 months and 2 weeks, it's still not life. However, if you punch a woman in the stomach and then you knock and take her out and kill her, then you're killing 2 lives. So I don't get the squaring of that. I'm not sure how you can correlate or why there's a discorrelation with the two. The woman has a right to snuff out her own kid, but if somebody else does it, it's murder. That's pretty bizarre. So back to the coronavirus, okay? Back to the coronavirus. The current numbers are, let me get to my data here, okay? Here's the current numbers, okay? We got 291,000 deaths worldwide, 83,000 in America. Everybody still talks about the Swedish models, which are good, as to why they have been fairly successful. They haven't really shut anything down, and that's true. They haven't. Now, people are comparing them to the other Nordic countries, which are Finland, Denmark, Norway, okay? And if you look at the data, now I go to worldometers.com because they don't have, worldometers.info, because they don't have any bias in this. They just give numbers. That's all they do. Meters, they're number meters. That's all they do. Now, obviously, they're somewhat limited because only the information that's being fed to them. However, they like to screen their information pretty well because number one, they cite their source, and number two, whenever there's a source that will bring caution or a caveat to the number that they are publishing, they will cite it. So, case in point, New York, I think Wisconsin, New Jersey, probably a lot of places all over the world, surely in America, just like China, they're cooking the numbers, they're corn puffing them. And what I mean by that is there's like 4 lines on a death certificate. You could put the cause of death. So a lot of these deaths, these COVID-19 deaths, have been comorbidity. So the person, as a lot of you know, have had a heart attack, but they had the flu inside of them. They had the virus inside of them. So they died from COVID. Well, one, they're putting it to deceive people. 2, they're being asked to put it by the Department of Health, and each statewide department is asking them to put it. 3, they're getting incentives from the government to put, I heard they get $35,000 per fatality if COVID has been the cause. So the analogy on that is if you go in for surgery, heart surgery, and you die from surgery, is surgery the cause or your heart disease? Well, of course it's your heart disease, because if you didn't have heart disease, you wouldn't go in for surgery, right? Right. Kidney surgery, you're 80-year-old, your kidneys are bad, you need a surgery, transplant, you don't make it. Did you not make it from surgery? No. You didn't make it because your kidneys were shot. If your organs go because you're too old, it's not the flu, it's your organs, you're too old. If you're young and healthy and this flu can do something really bizarre with you, give you pneumonia and then takes you out, that's a true fatality. So if we stop the corn puffing and stop with these artificial numbers, worldwide I bet we're under 100,000. Swine flu was 150 to 675,000 worldwide. Hospitalizations just in America alone from the 2017 through 18 flu. Hospitalizations alone, according to the CDC of America, 900,000 hospitalizations. There have not been 900,000 hospitalizations in America because of COVID. So these are all fear tactics that are working quite well, quite frankly, because I know a lot of people that I thought were pretty tough cookies. No, cheap suitcases that are splitting at the seams. They couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. My neighbors, they can drink beer and sling whiskey and lick armpits. They couldn't pee their way out of a paper bag. I mean, look, land of the free and home of the brave, both of those are going by the wayside. We're not land of the free anymore, not under COVID, and we're not home of the brave either. Because if we were home of the brave, people wouldn't be wearing masks and washing their hands every 13 seconds. And I think you get why we're not land of the free. Let's see. You want to go dine tonight? No. Let's go to the beach. No. Let's see. Go to Vegas? No, can't go there either. Where can we go? Laughlin? No. Can we go on a cruise? No. Where can we go? Oh, a couple places you can go right now. You can go to Utah. They're still open. Wyoming's still open. Nebraska open. Maybe you can go to like the Corn Festival or something. Arkansas open. And this is why I'm going to Arkansas. Or I'm leading you to Arkansas. Kansas is shut. South Dakota, North Dakota open. Iowa open. Not sure how much open, but you know that nice Governor Noem from South Dakota. She's had it open pretty much all along. Great woman. Probably be the next and first female president. Hopefully. She probably will be the first female president in the United States, whatever that means. However, let's go to Arkansas. Arkansas, Kansas. worldometers.info. Arkansas and Kansas, both geographically the same size, pretty much, land-wise. They both almost have the identical population. So now you got densities going on. Same population, same landmass. Actually, Arkansas, I believe, has a little bit less landmass, a little bit more population, 100,000 more or something. If you look at both of those numbers, okay, Arkansas and Kansas. Now, Arkansas pretty much has never shut down. Kansas, they did the Obama. They shut it down. They went the communistic route, the liberal route, okay? They pretty much shut it down. I'll give you the exact numbers right now because I've been using this as an example locally. Because if you use Swedish, if you use Sweden with Finland and Norway, you can compare those as far as, because Sweden stayed open, Norway and Denmark didn't. So let's go back to Arkansas. Okay, let's see, here we go. Let's go to Arkansas and Kansas, okay? Kansas, 7,195 cases, excuse me, 7,195 cases, total deaths 184, okay? Arkansas, 4,000 cases, 94 fatalities, okay? So they have 31 deaths per million in Arkansas. Kansas has 63 and Arkansas is open. How do you explain that? Blows holes in the whole stay at home. I have another article from the New York Times I'm going to bring back the next video I shoot that shows that the whole, remember bend the curve? There was no curve when they said bend the curve. It was flat. As soon as we started testing is when we started having a rise in the graph. Okay? And the curve is at the bell top if you've studied graphs. And you know, I don't know, 3rd, 4th grade mathematics, and if you went on through high school and college, you learned about maximum and minimums and calculus, bell curves, you know, the bell curve. And they were talking about bending the curve. Go back and look when they started talking about bend the curves. I challenge any of you, all you liberals, all you deniers, all you people that are under COVID cover, there was no curve to bend. Right now is when you should be hearing bend the curve, but you're not hearing bend the curve anymore. You haven't heard that in weeks. So if you go back again, Kansas, 7,195 cases. Arkansas, 4,043 cases. Kansas, fatalities, 184 fatalities. Arkansas, 94, okay? If you look at the tests, Kansas has tested 54,000. Arkansas has tested 70,000. So Arkansas has tested more. So you can't say, oh, well, they've tested less. That's why they have less tests. No, they've actually tested more. So I'm sorry, that blows a hole in the whole stay at home, okay? You can go to California and there's charts, and I'll try to dig these up. I'm gonna have to hold them up because I don't have any editing machines yet. There's charts out there that show that California, before the stay at home and after the stay at home, zero difference, zero. Why? Because like you've heard a lot of people say now, these cases come rolling through here in December and January, but you're not gonna hear that from Fauci, which is gonna bring me back now to Fauci and Rand Paul, because I left off with them. I left you guys hanging with that earlier. So Rand Paul said, hey, listen, Sweden never shut down. Kids have been in school. They have 0 fatalities. New York almost has 0 fatalities from a child 0 to 18 years old. In New York. Why did we shut the schools down? Why did we shut the schools down in Ventura, California? Why did we shut the schools down in the Pit, Los Angeles? Why did we shut the schools down in Santa Barbara, San Fernando Valley, which is part of Los Angeles for you people that don't know? Why did we shut the schools down in the filth of Northern California, San Francisco? They haven't had any fatalities with kids. Why? Because they want you to beg for an education through the government, which is why the government is mandating all these vaccines even with private schools. They didn't used to mandate it. You used to have a religious exemption. You don't have that anymore. Now you're not going to have an exemption for any vaccine. You know why? Because what's coming next is the big vaccine. And that, you know what it is. It's going to come. And I'll get back to it later. But you know what that big vaccine is. It's coming. And I'm going to get back to you guys later with it. And a lot of you are going to draw a lot of concern. There's going to be the naysayers, but I'm going to back it up with data, which is what you like to do. You want to have the data first that provides facts that you could then create a theory. You don't want to lack data, theorize by twisting facts that you've had to twist later because you didn't have enough data to provide facts, okay? So, Where we're at right now is the latest. Elon Musk told California, pound it. I'm opening up. That's great. Why hasn't he been arrested? I'm going to take a break. That's a question for you. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, unedited. See what I mean? Why haven't they arrested him? Alameda, California. That's Oakland. That's liberal. That's heavily liberal. Heavily liberal. You know why? Because he's too big. He's got a machine that will back him legally. So they're not going to touch him. And I say hooray to Elon Musk. I'm not like a super big fan of him. I'm not really an opposer of him. I don't really know the gentleman politically or anything. So, but cool cars, even though, you know, if you're going to go from here to Vegas, you better have 20 guys behind you pushing you because they don't go very far. But they sure look pretty. You know, you could put it on your shelf in your library or your office with all your collectibles. You could buy like a mini Tesla, like a Tesla lamp that you could turn on, LED. It'll probably last you all through the evening. But his cars, they don't last very long, so hopefully one day they'll last longer, which I doubt it because the Michael Moore movie blows holes in solar. Another con job by the governments. And they're forcing you that way. Why? Well, I mean, figure it out. If you can only go a couple 100 miles, hey, you don't have too much freedom. You have zero freedom. So, anyways, Elon Musk today, I think, or yesterday, Monday, okay, on the 11th, May 11th, 2020, he started opening up again. Today, he's still open, okay, and he's basically telling the government to pound sand, okay? So, the other thing that, what I found kind of funny was LeBron James talking about, you know, how the black men are out. I mean, they're just moving targets as soon as they walk out of their house because of what happened with the gentleman in Georgia, which is really sad. But hey, I don't know all the facts. We thought Trayvon Martin was sad. We thought that Ferguson Hands Up was sad. You know, Big Mike, I forget his name. But the Trayvon Martin case was sad. Gardner out of New York was sad. But all of these cases came back after a grand jury and or a trial, and they were all innocent, every one of them. So I can't really speak to this newest gentleman out of Georgia. What's his name? Ahmad? I can't think of his name. I could probably dig it up here somewhere. Let's see here. I don't know. I'll get the exact name of that gentleman. But my point is not what happened to the gentleman. It's LeBron James. How he likes to talk about how he's a marked man when he lives in Brentwood, California. I mean, the average home is probably 15, 18 million. It's laughable. I think it was the Trayvon Martin case, or it might have been the Ferguson case, where he came out when he was in Miami. Him, Dwayne Wade, a lot of these other gentlemen, and they, no, excuse me, let me backtrack. It was Sterling, the owner of the Clippers, that audio came out where he was talking about black people coming into his arena, and they said, you know, they had enough, and D. Wade and LeBron James came out and they threw their shirts at center court, and the coach, what's the coach's name? Doc Rivers of the Clippers said, "Oh, I'm not going to coach anymore if this owner is still going to own the team, if he's still allowed to be an NBA owner." And guess what? He got ousted. They made him sell his team, forced him to sell his team. His wife cleaned up pretty well. So I thought, well, I'm going to go look at where all these guys live. And I looked up, and Doc Rivers, he lived in an area, and I'm sure he still probably does, it's like 93% white. Dwayne Wade, it was like 98% white. Who else? Most of them.